Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. I'm a huge fan of World of Warcraft PvP, as can be seen by numerous 5v5 1v1 dueling videos on this channel. There's nothing out there like World of Warcraft arenas, the 2v2s, the 3v3s, and the very much missed 5v5s. Except whenever you want to play arena, you have to go through LFG to find yourself other players that want to team up with you as a group and play some games together. This can lead to friendly and awesome interactions where you're adding each other in Battle.net later, but it can also get an opposite effect. We all had toxic teammates from time to time. Many players want to play arena without the hassle of having to search for teammates, similar to League of Legends where the game will just match you up with teammates of similar skill against enemies of similar skill. In fact, World of Warcraft does that already for the enemy team, just do it for your partners as well. With 9.2 heading into the public test realms, Blizzard added a brand new brawl to simulate their version of a solo queue arena, and had mostly a positive experience with this together with my community, and I wanted to show you guys what it looks like currently on PTR. But right before that, most of you guys who watch these videos are still not subscribed, but the more of you I ask, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell in order to get all the regular 9.2 updates. So first of all, let's go over what Solo Shuffle is and why Blizzard designed it the way that it currently is. World of Warcraft is a complex game. There's so many different classes, so many different specs in the game, and there's just too many playstyles out there. And when you have two playstyles that complement each other inside of the arena, this is where you really get to see the strength of the comps. There's a good chance you've ran into these popular compositions before. Feral Druid and Beastmaster Hunter do incredibly good damage. Rogue and a Mage can put your healer into a CC chain for half a year. Or maybe the last time your healer got globaled by the Arms Warrior and Retribution Paladin in half a second. A set of classes that make together a composition is going to be far stronger than a random hodgepodge of mix and match classes. You still require player skill in order to win your arena games, but playing a specific comp can feel easier for many players. So when designing the solo queue experience, you're always faced with the question of, but what if the player gets the bad composition? Because then the games can devolve into whether you get a class that works with your playstyle or get a class that is opposing your playstyle, and you might as well quit before the game even begins. This is where the idea for Solo Shuffle came from. The idea is to, instead of playing one singular arena game, is to play out 6 arena games back to back. However, the teams are shuffled around, hence the name Shuffle. This way, RNG plays less of a part in the team composition that you get, and hopefully will allow the better player that knows their class in and out to win majority of their games. So how does solo queue work? How does it shuffle the teams? Are there any special rules for solo queue? And this is how it works. The first comp is going to be me together with a Marksmanship Hunter and a Holy Paladin. We're going to be facing against an Enhancement Shaman, a Windwalker Monk, as well as a Restoration Shaman. Before the gates open, I tell my hunter that he's going to be fine. I'll try to peel for him in order to give him as much breathing room as possible so he can just safely do damage from afar. Establishing a strategy early before the gates open is pretty important, especially since nobody is using voice comms for this arena match. There are some differences established in the solo shuffle than in the normal arena. First of all, the games go until first elimination. As soon as somebody on the enemy team dies, that's it, the game is over, and the team that lost the player loses the match. This is very different than the normal arena games. Normally, in arena games, you don't lose the arena until everybody on your team gave up or has been slain by the opposing team. Sometimes in 2s and 3s, you can get cross kills, where the enemy will kill one of your players and you'll kill one of theirs, turning a 3v3 scenario into a 2v2 scenario. And then the game will go until the last man standing, so if your team can turn around what looked like a loss into a potential win through careful play and cooldowns, or maybe even get a clutch res as the other team just isn't paying attention, you can bring a game back from the brink of a loss. Solo Shuffle aims to shorten the games as best as possible because you have to play 6 consecutive games back to back instead of just one arena game, win or lose. Because the game ends as soon as somebody dies, this can change the way the players play their arenas. Teams might opt to play a little bit safer and more defensive rather than aggressive. So while the monk and the shaman are beating up my hunter, I can go and push some pressure on their healer, which will cause both of them to want to back up and play defensively, saving their ally, but also giving my hunter more of that breathing room that I'm looking for. So we won the first game. Like I said, if I can give my hunter some breathing space to let him do some damage, he can snipe somebody out. But now the games have switched. I have the monk and the rest of Shami as a healer, and the enemy team has enhancement, marksman, and holy paladin. So now we gotta adjust our strategy, but from the last game I know that the hunter does scary damage, so this game I'm looking to shut him down as best as I can. My monk had a similar idea. I land a quick stun on the enemy paladin, both of us jump onto the hunter and win that round. So now the teams are shuffled yet again. The teams switch again. This time it's me, Enhancement Shaman and Holy Pala versus Windwalker, Marksmanship and Resto. I should have predicted this, but the monk and the hunter both do incredibly good damage. Both of them decided to focus down my shaman, who doesn't have a lot of defense, so we lose that round. Then we got back into that familiar setup, me, Windwalker with a Holy Paladin versus Marksman, Enhance and Resto. The monk almost single-handedly took out both of the shamans. I tried to help. Then it's me together with a Marksmanship Hunter and the Resto Shaman. And just like last time I played with this hunter, I just gave him enough breathing space and you just barrage down the monk, taking him out fairly quickly. Then for the final arena of the shuffle, I get both of the Shamis on my team. This was the game that lasted the longest. At this point, every single player in this arena match has seen what the other does. Both shamans have already seen what kind of burst damage the monk can do, so both of the Shamis came to my aid as soon as I was under pressure. The enemy team pushed up with crowd control to try to land a kill. I decided to go with counter pressure with my own stuns, stunning the monk, stunning the healer, and the shaman took that as a cue to finish the fight. And that was the entirety of the match of Solo Queue Shuffle. At the end, you can see the total tally of all the arena games played. You can see the rounds won, how much damage was done, as well as a supposed rating change that's supposed to happen in the shuffle, but isn't implemented just yet on PTR. But this is going to be my example of a successful game of Solo Queue Shuffle. In these solo shuffle games, it was a lot easier to see teamwork at play. And teamwork was exemplified. Instead of leaving your healer to fend off for himself against two classes beating him up, players will actually back up and save their healer using abilities and defensives and crowd control to give him some breathing room. In my time playing, more players were more likely to be social and coordinate a plan before the doors open, just so they have a rough idea of how they want the game to play. But worst comes to worst, if the plan fails, players are peeling for one another, helping each other out before trying to get the kill on the enemy team. Because the games shuffle your teammates every single round, it really comes down to your knowledge of your class and playing to your class's strengths. When you play in the pre-planned composition, you know that everybody has a specific job inside of the comp. The mage is always going to land a polymorph, and as a rogue you always need to land the stuns or the saps. Some of these comps get so formulaic that you're going to be doing the same thing every 30 seconds no matter which arena team you face. The shuffle breaks up that formulaic playstyle and lets the player just play to their class's strengths. This can be good for players that want to focus only on what their class does rather than focusing on what your team composition does. And for many players that like this kind of gameplay, your choices and decisions will feel far more impactful than they might in a normal arena. When the players are participating, the solo queue system works fairly well. Right now it doesn't have any kind of matchmaking behind it, or at least I don't think it does, and it doesn't seem to have any kind of rating behind it, but it does let you just press a button, queue into arena, and match up with random players, and then play out games in this format. There's obviously a huge factor of convenience because you didn't have to find your group, you just got matched into a group. So you didn't have to deal with getting declined because you play a wrong spec or because you don't have enough rating, you just get to match up. While they don't have a rating system in this just yet, because players are divvied out different wins and losses depending on how many games they win or lose, you could have situations where the player doesn't necessarily win every one of these games and still gains points in rating. In a normal arena, your team either wins or loses, so even if you made a good play inside of the arena, or maybe you saved an ally with a clutch heal, or came to the aid of your healer with a massive crowd control, or set up for burst for your mage, but then somebody in your team whiffed their damage or made a mistake, you all lose as a team. But in the solo shuffle, if you win like 3 games, if you have some great plays in those games, you can still gain rating even though you weren't winner of every single match. But every single experience has positives and negatives, so I thought we should talk about the negatives very quickly. If somebody leaves one of these matches in solo shuffle early, they will count as if they lost every single game. However, right now in PTR, all games still play out. It's a little awkward, but this is what it looks like. You sit in the starting room arena for like 20 to 25 seconds, the doors open, and then it tells you either win or lost depending on how many team members you had. Whichever team had the most team members are the ones that are deemed as winners. Because you had one person leave, the game still will play out all the instances of all the different matches. It'll mark the player that left as if they lost every single game, but for the players that didn't AFK, they just have to sit inside of the starting room and just see the win or loss screen 5 or 6 times in a row. And that would really be the only bad experience I had with the solo shuffle, when a player leaves early because they lost one of the 6 matches they're about to play. Second, because it's PTR, there's no punishments for leaving any of the matches, but there's also no big rewards for sticking around in them. And that is something that I think Blizzard needs to work on in the future. There already exists a deserter debuff when you leave battlegrounds and arenas too early. So I guess they could add a deserter buff to discourage players from leaving once they get in a game of solo shuffle. But you also want to give players incentives for sticking through with their games, win or lose. One of those ways could be providing more conquest points the better you do, or conquest points for doing certain activities inside of solo shuffle. For example, what if there's some sort of reward for turning around your lost streak? Let's say a player queues for solo shuffle, loses 2 games, loses 3, loses 4, but they win their 5th round. Maybe awarding the player with a lot of conquest could be that incentive. This way the player has a reason to actively keep playing the mode even if they're behind. You can even award players based on the role that they play. For example, as a healer, if you save allies from death with some clutch heals, the game could reward you extra points at the end of your solo shuffle, encouraging the player to keep playing to the class's role and healing allies even if they're behind on wins. Somewhat of a mix of discouragement from people wanting to leave and encourage them to keep playing and keep trying even if they're behind on wins or losses. But that's gonna be my thoughts on solo queue shuffle. Let me know in the comments below what do you guys think about this new game mode being added for patch 9.2. I'm hoping Blizzard considers some of the different features that I talked about in this video, encouraging players to want to stay, discouraging them from leaving, and giving players more of an incentive to keep trying and keep playing even if they're behind. The best version of this game mode feels fun, awesome, amazing, and the teamwork really does shine. The variety of gameplay you get from facing different classes and playing with different classes really lets you hone in your skills on the class that you currently are playing. And this mode seems to be only detracted when players leave or they stop participating. But in its best moment, it is an awesome mode, and I could totally see with some refinement this mode becoming part of the regular gameplay of World of Warcraft PvP. Give this video a thumbs up if you agree and if you think Blizzard should commit more time into this mode, or give this video a thumbs up if you simply enjoyed it or found it informative. Join the Discord community, link to that in the description of every single video. That's probably the best place to reach me and connect with some of the other boys hanging out in Discord on a regular. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.